Why is it that when we meet people who represent a side that we oppose and who we think are going to be the worst people ever are really not that bad or even bad at all when we meet them in person? Why is it that we allow our perception to fill in all of these narrative gaps about someone thinking that they are this one way when in reality there's much more complexity to that person than we think there is? I don't know exactly why, but it feels like that much of the world that we see through our phones and through our TVs is meant to just divide and anger us purely for the sake of capturing our attention and keeping us from connecting with folks. I'm sitting here in Sanderson, a small town of 700 people in Terrell County, the 10th largest county in all of Texas, and a county that's so large that it is even bigger than Rhode Island, an entire state here in the United States. I'm here in a ranch house. I'm wearing a nice sweater from a local business here, and I was just thinking about this because, well, I've been here with my friend Ali. We're recording a video with someone here, and we are meeting with the local sheriff who we thought was the embodiment of a racist, conservative individual who would be extremely harsh and unforgiving on illegal immigrants who are often crossing into the United States through this corridor. But what we ended up finding is that he is the embodiment of both the strong man, someone who has conservative values, is someone who is faith based and has traditional ideals of a family and raising a community and a society, but is also someone who is deeply passionate and compassionate for the immigrants. And often the contradiction that we end up seeing is that we thought that the two different important things when talking about immigration, making decisions based off of humanity and then based off of the rule of law. We thought that those in Border Patrol and those in the local law enforcement would put the rule of law way above any decision making on the humanity level, when in reality, what it is that we're facing and seeing, is that we're seeing folks on making decisions based off of those operating at an equal level. And oftentimes, the sheriff is the one to remind us that, hey, the people who are crossing and coming into the United States are really just regular people like you and I. And even myself, who is in the world of media, who's recording videos to then share with you guys, I know that there is a huge level of sensationalism that goes on, yet I still am also deceived on things because I think it is much easier and much more enjoyable in the short term to be angry and to get mad and to think that there is something evil out there that you can be opposing and that you can get upset about. But I think in in very many ways, it is a distraction, and then it ultimately leads you from moving far away from what you should care about, which is improving your own personal health, improving the community around you, encouraging more slowness in your life, and not having to operate with such speed and rash decision making that makes you think of the opposing person as evil in many ways. And so one thing that I thought was really interesting that the sheriff was saying is that he is often a spokesperson that goes on Fox News. I mean, he really looks the part because he wears a cowboy hat. He's got a deep Southern accent, and he often talks about what's going on here in the border. And his main discussion whenever he goes on the news is with illegal immigrants and the need to want to step up security in order to stop people from coming over, because that is the actual oath that he was taking, is to limit the number of people who are crossing illegally. And interestingly enough, though, he takes the opinion that illegal immigration will never stop. It should, and it also, no matter, we could stop it, but there's no desire to actually stop it, because the illegal immigration, what it ends up doing is it comes and it provides tons of cheap labor for many of the different industries here in the United States. If you've eaten chicken, if you've eaten beef, if you've eaten strawberries, if you've had your business built from ground up, or your home built from ground up, then you have likely used illegal migrants as a workforce and a very cheap labor to get the job done. And so there is a huge incentive from everyone, whether we like it or not, or whether we like to admit it or not, that illegal immigration is what is building this country and is what is helping this country prosper. And so sheriff's opinion is that the immigration will never really stop. And so how we should look at it is that we should still be as humane as possible for anyone who comes in, and ensure that they are treated just as much respect as you or I, someone who is from the United States, if you are also from the US listening to this. And Fox News will have him on. I don't know how much they'll have him speak about those certain things, but interestingly enough, CNN has reached out to the sheriff. But when they hear what the sheriff has to say, the opinion that I just shared, that there is, yes, an importance to secure the border, but also there's an importance to treat people in a humane way and to treat them with dignity and respect, that when they hear that second part, they don't necessarily want to have the sheriff speak because the sheriff doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying to push out. And then from their side, the Democratic Party, that often acts as this moral high horse from the university system, as these people who have moral high ground on every single issue, they too want to cause division and create this us versus them type of narrative, when in reality, this person who you think would be the last person to have this type of compassion for people is the one who is more compassionate than many of the Democratic leaders that live in faraway places like Seattle, New York, and other cities that don't really have as much of a challenge with immigration as they might have here in Terrell County, where they see it on a daily basis. Today, we had a very surreal experience where we went to the last place of an illegal immigrant who passed away on his journey to get to the United States. He unfortunately died from a heart attack, and we went there, and the sheriff was leading us in prayer as we were honoring this immigrant who had just passed away, unfortunately, a couple of days ago. We built a cross for him, and it was something that you really would never expect. Someone like myself, again, who is in this world, who understands media and understands how you put things out as a sensational message in order to get views, is that this guy is breaking all understanding of what we think of the world. And I'm trying to emphasize this and give as many real world examples as possible to encourage you to reflect on the same areas in your own life of where is it that you are jumping to such a strong black and white conclusion, where if you were to go out and talk to someone, meet with them, then you likely would find more that you agree on than not. In the United States, it's probably someone who is on the opposite side of the political spectrum, and that often many of us sit in one tiny little echo chamber rather than going out and speaking with someone to try and understand who they are and where it is that they come from their own views and perspective on this life and being. And so, if anything, I'm recording this on my phone and understand the irony of always going back to this message, but unplug yourself from your device, unplug yourself from social media, go out into wilderness and listen to the message that my dad has always instilled in me. And that is that a day is never wasted when you go out into the woods. Take care, everybody.